It all started on a blazing summer Saturday, the kind of day where everyone in the neighborhood ends up at the community pool. I had just finished cleaning up the deck when I saw her again, Karen, clipboard in one hand, sunglasses pushed halfway down her nose, strutting like she owned the place. But this time, she wasn't just inspecting the chairs or counting how many leaves were in the grain. She was marching straight toward my nephew, finger pointed like a missile, shouting, "You're not on the HOA approved list. Get out of this pool now." She didn't know it yet, but I was recording everything, and she had no clue what I had already prepared for moments just like this. Let me back up. I'm Mark Sanders, 47, a retired construction attorney who moved into this HOA-managed community for peace and quiet. I bought the property 5 years ago. All fees paid, papers signed. The pool? It's part of my ownership rights. Every resident has a guest allowance, and that Saturday, my nephew Jake and his sister were using it. Karen, the HOA president for the last 2 years, disagreed. She had a habit of rewriting the rules verbally, especially if she didn't personally like someone. New residents, renters, anyone under 25, she treated them like intruders. And now she was trying to ban my family from the pool I paid for? I wasn't having it. "Your name isn't on the official list," she barked, staring down my teenage nephew like he was a criminal. I calmly walked over. Actually, guests of residence are allowed pool access under Article 4, Section B of the HOA guidelines. Want me to read it to you? She scoffed. Those rules were updated. I make the calls now. I held up my phone and smiled. Say that again. Her eyes flickered when she realized I was recording. "You're not allowed to record me." "Oh, but I am," I said. "This is a public shared space. I have every right to document how the HOA is treating its residents." She didn't back down. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called the police. 10 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up. Karen was already outside the gate, hands flying, voice raised, telling the officer I was hosting unregistered minors and that I was threatening her authority. The officer approached me calmly. "Sir, we got a call about a disturbance involving unauthorized use of the community pool." I handed over my property deed copy and HOA agreement, both laminated and tabbed. The officer raised an eyebrow. "You were prepared." I nodded. I've had 3 incidents like this already. Every time, Karen tries to weaponize her position. I documented everything. He reviewed the papers and glanced toward Karen, who was now visibly red in the face. "Is that your camera running?" "Yes, officer. For my protection." The officer gave a slow nod. "Well, from what I can see, you've done nothing wrong." Here's the part Karen didn't know. I had already filed a complaint with the HOA's legal board. Not just for this, for a whole pattern of abuses. Late fees she added that weren't real, warnings she mailed to new residents, denying basic access to anyone she didn't approve. And thanks to my experience in construction law, I knew just where to look. She'd been violating 2 community charter clauses, one of which invalidated her ability to serve as HOA president without an annual vote. Guess what hadn't happened in 2 years? That's right, no vote, no authority. The officer listened carefully as I explained. His response? "We'll log your statement and the documents you've shown. If this is a civil dispute, she may be overstepping." That video I recorded, it wasn't just for me. I uploaded it to our private HOA forum. Time-stamped, documented, respectful. Just the facts. The comments rolled in. "She did that to my son last month. This is exactly why I stopped using the gym. She thinks she owns the entire street." 3 days later, a special emergency meeting was called. For the first time in over a year, Karen didn't show up. 2 weeks later, an announcement: due to procedural irregularities and multiple complaints, the current HOA president is stepping down pending further review. Let's just say, I took a very satisfying swim that weekend. I never wanted a war with my HOA. I just wanted to enjoy my home, my family, and my peace. But when someone in power uses fear and intimidation, you don't fight them with noise. You fight them with knowledge, proof, and calm. quiet action. Karen called the cops on me. She thought she'd win by being loud. She never imagined I'd win by being prepared. The strange thing is, once the dust settled, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt relieved, not because Karen was gone, but because the community finally saw what so many of us had been quietly tolerating. For months, maybe years, people had avoided the pool, skipped the clubhouse meetings, stayed quiet when they got warning letters, just to avoid confrontation. It had become normal to tiptoe around someone who was never meant to wield that kind of power in the first place. What I learned from all this is simple. Peace doesn't mean silence. Sometimes the most peaceful thing you can do is to stand firm, speak truth with patience, and trust the process, especially when you're on the side of facts. I never shouted. I never argued. I let her words speak for themselves and let the community see what I had seen all along. Weeks later, I got a quiet knock on my door. It was one of the newer neighbors, an elderly couple who had never come to the pool once before. They smiled and said, "Thank you. We finally feel like this place is ours too." That meant more than any policy change or committee vote ever could. So, if you're ever stuck in a situation where someone is abusing their position, remember this. Power built on fear always collapses under the weight of truth. Stay calm, stay smart, and never let anyone scare you out of your own space. And as for Karen, let's just say, I hear she's now on the HOA board of another neighborhood. Best of luck to them. Ike the Calm Takedown? Drop a comment, hit like, and share the drama. Don't forget to subscribe to QZ Stories